Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Google Wallet Developers Live. My name is Nasser Khan. I am a developer advocate with Google Wallet. Today's topic, we have a very exciting lineup. We're going to talk about recently announced Google Wallet Instant Buy API for Android. And we have one of our partners, Expedia. Dan Liu is here from Expedia. Welcome, Dan.
Hello.
And we also have Nagesh, who is a developer programs engineer here at Google.
Hey.
So one of the main issues with mobile commerce really is the form factor. So whenever you are trying to book anything or trying to buy anything on a mobile device, you run into an issue where you have a small device, you have to enter your name, your address, your credit card details, your billing address, and so forth. And no matter what you're buying, physical supplies, office supplies, t-shirts, even booking at Expedia, you have to go through that process. So the recently announced Android API, Instant Buy API, is trying to solve that problem in a very elegant way, reducing the friction the user has and just gets them to really what they want, to purchase something. So first of all, Dan, welcome to Google again. And can you tell us a little bit about Expedia, what is happening there, what's new, what's latest, and what you guys do?
Oh yeah, I mean, Expedia is a well-known international travel company, and we help anyone book hotels and flights, and car rentals, and activities, and even cruises. So
nice.
So Dan, you have a fantastic app here and on Android, and what can you accomplish with it?
So what our application handles at the moment are hotel and flight searches as well as bookings. So you can go through the entire process from start to finish in terms of getting a hotel stay for the night or a flight if you need to get away. And we also just recently released a new version of the application that includes itineraries. So anything that you've booked through Expedia, either through the app or on the website, you can look up on your device afterwards.
Nice. So the launch screen of the app looks pretty fascinating. It has like the hotels and the flights scrolling at different speeds. How did you go about implementing it? I mean, I'm very curious.
Oh yeah, this was super fun to work on, and it's essentially two list views side by side, and there's a handler that automatically scrolls them up. But what's really unique is that they are linked to each other, and at a different rate of scrolling on each of them. And whenever you click and start scrolling one, it will take over touch events for both of them and pass touch events from one to the next so that they're both linked in their scrolling.
Nice. Very nice.
So Dan, you've also integrated Google Wallet with this app. So what was the motivation? Why did you guys decide to do that in first place, and how did you go about it?
Well, it's very related to what you were talking about earlier, which is that we allow you to book hotels and flights through the app, and these things require a lot of information from users. And so it becomes a very painful process right near the end where you've decided on the hotel that you want to book for tonight, but now you have to enter your name and your billing address and your credit card information. And we want to really reduce the amount of friction that it has for users. And in addition, there's Google Wallet comes with like every Android phone now.
Right.
So whenever any new users to the application will already have all this information they can pre-fill.
Nice. And could you show us that experience?
Yeah, so let's just select a random hotel on the left. And so I'm at this point where I'm checking out the hotel and seeing if it's where I want to stay. And I've read through the details. I decide this is the one for me. So I select it. And at this point now is the normal checkout screen, except for now we have the Buy with Google button. And so when I click on that, it'll bring up a page with my different credit cards that I have saved in Google Wallet. So I can either pick one that exists now or add a new one. And I click Continue, and it will pre-fill all of that data into the booking. And now all I need to do is slide to purchase, and the hotel booking will be complete.
That's pretty awesome. So when customers purchase for the very first time, a chooser is shown with a checkbox where they can indicate if they want to use Google Wallet for future purchases with Expedia. Now, if that is selected, the next time they go through the purchase flow, the chooser is not shown. Can you show us that flow?
Sure. So we finished booking our first hotel stay, and so now we can look at a new search and see if there's another hotel we want to stay at. And by the way, this is our little hanging tag animation that we like to show. Yeah. We like to show animations so that people don't get too bored while we're gathering data. So let's stay at the Courtyard tonight. guess we'll book a whole bunch of hotels. And free cancellation is good enough because we're booking all these things.
Right.
So again, I've now gotten through, I've selected the room, I'm checking out the details, and I scroll to the page from before, and all that data is already entered.
And that's because you selected the checkbox in the first time around. Very nice.
And so I don't even have to, all I have to do this time is slide to purchase, and we're booking that hotel as well.
Fantastic. That was really smooth. So just by a couple of clicks, next time around, you're just able to book a hotel without any entry, really, from your end. That's
Although
really
if you
awesome.
wanted to, it's a pretty open platform, and so if the user wanted to book a hotel on behalf of someone else, they could change the name of the traveler on it.
Right.
So while it does pre-fall information, it also gives you the ability to customize what information is sent as well.
Great, great. Just to keep things in perspective, so if I could take you back in time to the time when Google Wallet wasn't there, or maybe to a flow where you don't use Google Wallet, how does that experience look like?
Sure, so we can look at the flights portion of the app right now, which we do not have Google Wallet enabled for. And so again, this is kind of our animation that we're showing.
Right.
And so I'm going to pick just any given flight. And with flights, it's a lot worse than hotels because the amount of data that you need to book a flight is actually greater than you need for a hotel.
Right.
And so I'm going to have to enter in my name. I'm going to have to enter in my phone number. And I'm just going to make all this data up and go as quickly as possible. And even then, like if you're actually having to fill this out, it takes a while. I have to know the gender for TSA purposes.
Yep.
And that's just the easy part. Now I've got to do the payment information, and I have to enter in my address and where I live, and a state, and a zip code. And now I have to enter a credit card number and the expiration date. And the name that's on the credit card that I'm booking with in case it happens to be different from the person who's actually traveling on this flight. And now only at this point can I then slide for booking.
View.
And so that's like 10, 15 different fields I had to enter data
Yeah.
for, so clicking a button is way easier.
Yeah, that looks pretty painful to have to type in your credit card, your billing address, and all the other details. And that's really what Google Wallet is here to solve. I mean, and talking about integrations, how easy or difficult was the integration? How has the experience been so far, the Google Wallet integration?
I mean, payment processing is an inherently complicated issue. And so the initial happy path from start to finish took just about a day or two to finish. But then there's handling all these situations where, like, maybe their credit card's out of date, or you need to handle that daily transaction limit or something like that. And so overall, it's taken about 2 or 3 weeks to fully integrate the application with Google Wallet. But it's completely worth it because it makes the checkout flow so much easier.
Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks is pretty awesome given that, I mean, you're doing all that stuff. If you were to do, and you pretty much done the app yourself in the first round itself. So the payment processing part must have taken quite longer than 2 to 3 weeks integration, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Right?
I mean, every time we have to deal with payment, it becomes a complex issue.
Right, right.
So,
So in terms of the benefits, of course, you already talked about it. Is there anything else that you want to share with our developers in terms of any tips and tricks that you came across? Anything that you think is made it easy for you to integrate with Google Wallet, or in Android apps in general? Anything that you want to share?
oh sure, I can talk about some Google Wallet tricks that we used. One is that there's a lot of lifecycle events that you need to handle on a regular basis throughout your application for Google Wallet. And so I found it very handy to create a wallet fragment that kind of handled many of the common cases. For example, like initializing the connection and disconnection from Google Wallet itself. And so even though we had 6 or 7 different places in the app using Google Wallet, I could keep reusing this common logic. And the other thing is that it's kind of a 2-step process where the first step, you make an estimate of how much you think it's going to cost for the user, and that's when you get a lot of the initial data back. You can't actually book anything with it at that point, but you can actually check all that information as soon as you have a pretty good estimate. And so if you send all that data earlier rather than later, when the user clicks the Buy with Google button, we can instantly fill out all that information. If you wait until you get to that point, then you might have to be waiting and spinning a little bit while you get that data back.
And then have a magical user experience that get it instantly.
Yeah,
booked.
if you set it up, so if the users added all this stuff to their cart and they click checkout, maybe you don't know the taxes and shipping information at that point, but if you start doing that processing right then, you can already have the result back once they're ready to book.
Great.
Awesome. That sounds awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dan, for taking the time to share your thoughts on Google Wallet integration, and it looks fantastic. And folks, if you're booking your next travel, be sure to check out the Expedia app and Buy with Google Wallet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.